What's happening, guys? Pete back with you for another edition of the Seventh Corner Podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. On today's episode, we're going to recap the Huskies' road tilt last week against Denver. It did not go so smoothly, so unfortunately, the Huskies lost both games. We're going to recap and see what went wrong. Even though Cameron Whitehead played particularly well, even though there's a lot of things to talk about. We'll break down each game, talk about what went wrong, what the Huskies need to improve on, even some bright spots out of the game as well. Despite the losses, there were some key moments. Even the Huskies were able to get a couple goals in, but it just goes to show you why Denver are the defending national champions and why it was a tough task for them. Also, at the end, we're going to recap this weekend's home matchup against Maine. So they got two games this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. against Matthews. It's also family weekend as well, too. So we're going to give a little preview of that as well. But let's just get right into things and talk about last Friday night. So Huskies fell 5-1 in the first game in game one of the last weekend series. So I I was out of town. I was actually in Las Vegas for a music festival, the one One on Music Festival, so I wasn't able to watch the game in full or keep tabs on the game. But just from what I gathered and looking through the score breakdown, so the first period was a battle. Denver was able to go up 1-0 just 6 minutes into the game. They scored the only goal, so Denver was up 1-0 after that. The Huskies actually led the Denver 9-3 in block shots in the opening period to continue to push momentum. That's really a key takeaway if you sort of dissect and look in between the lines here, because that sort of what the Huskies are able to do is sort of challenge the other team into making more plays. Because to me, it's not always what's on the score sheet. It's also how many more plays that you're able to make than your opponent. I think that's what's really so important, especially in college hockey where you have that element. You're able to push the other team and kind of exhaust their energy a little bit. So I thought that was really telling the way they were able to play. Denver's able to extend the lead early in the second, go up 2-0. But here's the thing with the response, which we talked about last week as well too, with the game against Stonehill or 2 weeks ago against Stonehill. But minutes after Denver went up 2-0, Northeastern found something on the scoreboard. It was after a bobble puck by Denver at the blue line. Cam Lund and Joe Connor found themselves in a 2-1 breakaway. Lund got his first goal in the season to cut the lead in half for Denver, 2-1. So that's a good thing about the response mechanism, which is key in the season over against Stonehill 2 weeks ago, that they were able to really respond back to the opposition and what they were able to do. So I think that's always a telling moment that you're able to really it's sort of almost like a heavyweight battle of sorts too. It's sort of they throw a punch, you throw a punch back. So that's how it lets the opposition know you're still in the game and you're still trying to claw back. So I thought that was key. And before the second period ended, Pioneers would tack on two more goals for a 4-1 advantage headed into the final period. So it wasn't good from there, but at least they made their mark and were able to, establish some sort of offensive. You can't really call it momentum because there's just one goal, but sort of an offensive presence of sorts too, and just able to sort of skate along with the puck and sort of throw them off balance a little bit. Um, Denver opened the period with an early tally, and it was pretty much over from there. But uh, another key play here, just over the midway through the third period, Northeastern buried the puck in the back and it make 5-2, which it was a beautiful play passing that created almost a tic-tac-toe goal for Dylan Raconian. So then Christoph Taylor and Junior Jack Williams, they were credited with the assist on that particular one for Dylan. So, and of course, Dylan, when in our chat with Joey Mayer-Lari just a few weeks ago, we were talking about that, and especially Dylan Raconian, how he's able to stand out of his zone away from his brother Justin and sort of establish his own hockey identity and his own offensive prowess. I think that's really key too. I think, of course, Christophe Tellier scored a goal in Stonehill, um, against Stonehill, and I think he's gonna be sort of that little X factor and sort of that little unknown quality that's really gonna bobble up to the surface real quick. So I think he's coming through, and it shows how multifaceted he is. He was able to get a goal a couple weeks ago in Stonehill. Now he has an assist in his manner too. So that sort of gets the ball rolling. But with Dylan Raconian, great goal for him. Whitehead was able to finish with 40 saves. Jake Higgins and Jackson Dorrington led Northeastern with 3 blocks apiece, while Ryan McGuire led both teams with 12. So I thought that was key. And that's pretty much set off the weekend for game one. But as we look into game two right away, so Northeastern also fell in the same score Well, actually, it was 5-1 in game one, but it was almost the same score in game two. So Northeastern fell 5-2 in the Saturday night tilt. So it was a real tight race in the opening, real tight race in the opening period. Um, they kept the Huskies scoreless until the final 2 minutes, and Denver was able to convert on the power play for 1-0 lead. So it's pretty much the same as in the first game. So what really wasn't much difference in terms of what Denver was able to establish early on, and that's really what's key in all these hockey games, especially is being able to score first and being able to maintain those leads, which Denver was able to exhibit very well early on. And actually, as play rolled on, Denver make it 3-0 for the opening 11 minutes of the frame. So going into the second period. So it was pretty much hell on earth from there. So then 2:55 left in the second. The second goal, Cam Lund brought the Huskies within 2 goals. So this was a crisp feed in the slot from Vinny Borghese. That created space for Lund to bury one just past the glove side of Denver's goalie. So I thought that was key. Again, I mean, you get crazy with these productions. I always thought they're going to split, but they end up not walking away with the win. It happens, but you just sort of have to have a short-term memory span about it and just sort of move along. And then Denver scored the fourth goal of the night just 12 seconds in the third period. Then 7:45 left in the third. Similar, almost a carbon copy of the night before's game. Dylan Racconi tacked on the Huskies' second goal of the night. It was a great poke on the defensive zone by Borghese, which led to the breakaway from Herconian, who finished with a snipe from the right dot for 4-2. So they were able to cut the lead in half, too, and that's very telling right there. That they're able to, cut that lead in half, too, much like in the first game when they made it 2-1. So it's sort of that little halfway mentality. If you can cut it within half, you're at least on the score sheet and you're able to get within that momentum, get within that offensive zone. So I thought that was key. And just before the buzzer signed, the Pioneers would add an empty net goal for 5-2, and that was the game. So Cameron Whitehead had 59 minutes and 25 seconds of action. He got 27 saves. Jackson Dorrington led both teams with 3 block shots, and Ryan McGuire led the Huskies with 15 face-off wins. So that's what pretty sells it from here. So Northeastern's 2-2 on the season. I think it's really telling just seeing how they've sort of they've sort of established their identity so far. It's about, just now going on from here. Now that they have Denver behind them, it's time to look ahead to conference play. It's really what is the meat and potatoes of the season. So going from there, it's really just all about maintaining. And I talked about this with Joey too when he was on a few weeks ago about how key conference play is. It's about getting those 3 points per win, really establishing yourself at the top of the standings. You really want to stay in the same league as BC and BU. Really want to be nipping at their heels. You really want to maintain. You really want to let them know that, hey, we're still here. We're not doormats anymore. We're legit. We're for real too. So it's about staying in that same mindset. So as we look ahead to this weekend series against Maine. And Maine can be kind of pesky too, whether at home or on the road. But Northeastern always has had a good record against them. I think what it really boils down to is the pairings too. I think really as you boil down the numbers, it's really about maintaining and just sort of keeping those lines fresh and mixing and matching if it doesn't go well too. But I think Coach Keefe has done a great job of really establishing what works best and not really making any changes unless it's absolutely necessary. But I think they'll be in good shape moving forward too. Another thing too, as we look ahead towards, they'll be off the next week, but the week after is Providence, and there's actually a key injury affecting Providence that could bode well for the Huskies. But we'll talk about that in 2 weeks once we get closer to the Providence home at home. But looking ahead to Maine too, I mean, Maine has got a lot going forward to them, and they can sort of throw you off balance any which way but loose. But I think right now I think the Huskies have got a lot of great momentum, and I think they just have something that's sort of what Maine does, and Maine was never really able to. Maine is able to stop the puck pretty well, but they don't really have as many offensive stars. They don't have the glitz and glamour that the Huskies do. So I think what it really boils down to is sort of taken from what you learned from the other series as well, is scoring first. That's what's really so important, which they weren't able to do in the Stonehill series. Because remember, in the season over against Stonehill was able to score first, but Northeastern was able to respond with a goal of their own 30 seconds after that. So if Northeastern can score first and maintain their offensive presence, they'll be in good shape. So if you look at it from that perspective, I think Northeastern has got a lot going for them, and it's really boding well for them moving forward. Speaking of which, other stuff to talk about the Huskies. The merch store is actually open. If you go to Northeastern Men's Hockey's Instagram feed, you go to the link tree right in the profile. They have a merch store open, so they do this every year. Have exclusive merchandise available to all fans, all alumni, all students, even too as well too. So they have exclusive Northeastern hockey merchandise that you can only get within a certain time frame. So it runs until it started yesterday, October 23rd. It runs until next week, October 31st. It actually ends on Halloween. So if you want some exclusive merchandise, definitely go get it. They have quarter zip sweatshirts. They actually have a double layer winter jacket, which looks really nice, which I'm gonna go grab myself. They have that. They have exclusive T-shirts, which you can actually customize with your own name and number on the back too. So you can either have your own name or have the name and number of your favorite player too. So they're sort of almost capitalizing the NIL thing. So I think that's really great too. So they sort of listen to the beck and call of all the fans. So we're getting that. So if you want like a Gaudette shirt, definitely go and get it. So they got that going. They got a lot of cool hats. They have not the regular fitted hats, but they have like almost like winter hats, almost like the ear flaps. I got a look at the style, and they look really amazing too. And they have nice styles as well too. So you're able to also customize the color as well from like red, white, and black. Even for the shirts, I think there's some color customization there. But definitely go and check it out if you haven't already. It really is one of those exclusive things. If there's really merchandise that you really want, it's really all more for it. I just think going from there, it's absolutely amazing. You definitely have to go get it. I mean, I got a lot of exclusive merchandise myself. I'm trying to think what. Oh, I have a polo shirt. Oh God, so many other great things as well. The red shirt, the red shirt I have, which is sort of the red retro throwback from the jerseys from the 70s and 80s, that I bought off a college website. It wasn't from the Northeastern Huskies official merch store, but it looks absolutely amazing. I think I posted on my Instagram as well if you're able to check it out there. But they have men's and women's short sleeve T-shirts there, long sleeve men's and women's T-shirts, a fleece hoodie. They have a different kind of polo this time. So for men's and women's, it's a team tip pillow, so it has white stripes along the collar and on the sleeves as well too. It actually looks very snazzy. They have a quarter zip pullover, a warm up on. They have ones in black and gray this time around. They have a warm up full zip jacket as well too. That one is in red. The double layer, which I talked about. They have a beanie cap as well too. The one that I was talking about earlier was a chino adjustable cap, and they have that, and they also have a backpack as well too. So that looks pretty awesome. So if there's any merch, any shopping you want to do, it closes October 31st. So from the time of this podcast, you have just about a week to get it. So, and they do, I think it's free shipping orders over $150. So the shipping's only $10. It's not too bad, but it's definitely work. If you want Huskies merchandise, definitely go get it. So um, it will take a while to ship. I think they'll start shipping probably, I think, a few days after the store officially closes. So you probably won't be getting until late November, early December at the latest. So sort of a little early Christmas present for you. So, but voting well into this series against Maine this weekend. It's going to be all hands on deck. And with family weekend, it's going to be absolutely packed. I know Friday's game is sold out. I think Saturday's is probably be close to sold out, but by the time this podcast airs, it more than likely will be sold out too. So, and I just think also with the right side closed off, I don't think that's going to affect much. They're still going to cram the seats in there. So if you're a dedicated season ticket holder like me, you definitely want to make sure to get there early. So I mean, it's going to get packed very quickly, especially people getting out of work and whatnot. So it's going to be damn awesome for sure. Thanks once again for tuning in to the Seventh Corner podcast. See you next week. Roll skis.